पावर ऑफ नॉलेज में आपका स्वागत है। In this video we are going to discuss about the how to create the Spring Boot application using Eclipse IDE. So here we have the Eclipse IDE and now we are going to create the Spring Boot application using Eclipse IDE. So first of all we have to go to file, new, then others. So here we have to write the Spring. So now we have the option to create the Spring Boot application here. So a Spring starter project. So we have to select the Spring starter project. Then after that we have to go to the next. So next, now here we have to give some name. So that means which application we are going to create here. So now we are going to create the user service app application. So user service app. So now here type, which type of application we are going to create, like that we are going to use the Gradle with Groovy, Gradle with Kotlin or Maven. So I am going to use the Maven. So here a Spring Boot with Maven project I am going to create here. So now packaging jar, language I am going to use the Java. Now version I am going to use the 17th. So if we are going to use the 17th, like that Java version is the 17th. Okay, now here this is the group name is your package name, right? So package name we have to give like that com dot user dot service dot app. So this is the package name. Now artifact name is your project name, right? So same package we can give the here also, right? After that no need to do anything. Now next, okay, here see measure is the Spring Boot version, which Spring Boot version we can select. So by default it is selected the 3.x version, means 3.3.4. here have some another version also like the 3.2.10 and 3.4.0. so here I will use the 3.4. So if you are going to use a Spring Boot 3.x version, that means in your system you have to install the ZK 17th. That means yes, ZK 17th or more than that, because if you are going to use the Spring Boot 3 version, that means this is the recommended to install the upper version of the ZK, like the 17, 18, 19. Okay, if you have the ZK 8, then it will not work. ZK 8 will work until the Spring Boot 2.x version, but in the ZK 17th, sorry, Spring Boot 3.x require the at least ZK 17th. So here, so we need to add some dependency. Either we can create the Spring Boot application from the here, and we can add the manually all the dependency in the pom.xml. But in the Spring Boot we have some feature. So while creating the Spring Boot project, we can add the dependency. So here we are going to create the one Spring Boot application, normal Spring Boot application. So here minimum dependency is required to add the Spring Web. So here we will write the web. So see here coming the Spring Web. So this dependency, the minimum dependency is required to develop the Spring MVC application using the Spring Boot. Now if you have required to integrate with database server, that means you have to use the MySQL. That means here if you are going to use the MySQL DB, then you have to use the MySQL driver. Or if you are going to use the JPA to interact with the database server, then we have to Spring Data JPA. So right now we are not going to add the MySQL driver and Spring Data JPA, because we are not going to interact from the DB. If required, then in the next video we will learn how to interact with the database and how we can interact with the JPA. Okay, these all the things. And in that time, if we require to add the dependency for the JPA and MySQL, then we can add here. Okay, so right now we are not going to use the Spring Data JPA on MySQL. So I'm going to remove these things. Okay, now we have to do the next. Now we have to do the finish. So here if you are going to do the first time, that means you have to internet is the mandatory, because see whatever project structure we have, they will download it from the Maven central repository. So here, see what is the benefit to create the Spring Boot application using the Eclipse IDE while using the STS plugins. Okay, because we are no need to worry about the project structure. So a Spring Boot, that means a Spring Boot application, so they have like so many project structure in the Maven central repository. They will download it from the here, they will create this. We no need to worry where we can create Java, src main Java, or src main resource application properties file. No need to worry. They will download it from there. They will establish the dependency with the this all the things, whatever the dependency jar is there, they will add it inside that Maven dependency on, and they will set into the class path also. So we can verify the Maven dependency here. So see here, a Spring starter web we have added. So here somewhere this is log back core log for the we are not added. These are the dependent, and that means dependent dependency. So a Spring Boot starter JSON, see Jackson core. See, they added a Tomcat also. Means they have an inbuilt Tomcat server also. We no need to add the external Tomcat here. So a Spring Babe, a Spring Bean. Okay. Now we can check the Spring Babe MVC. If you want to add, then you can add the manually this Spring Babe MVC in the pom.xml. But here based on that Spring Boot version, what are the dependency suit for this Spring Boot version, they are downloaded from the Maven central repository. According to that Spring Boot version, these things are added inside the Maven as a Maven dependency. Now we are going to open the pom.xml. So here we have the font with the that means a small font. So I'm going to increase the font. So color and font. So basics, and here we have text font. So here I'm going to the 13th. Right. So here, see, so we can see the dependency here. We added the dependency as Spring Boot web, but we didn't added these things, right? So here what is happening, that means a Spring Boot added it here manually. That means this is the recommended dependency here. Anyhow, if you will not add, that means by default it will added here. So here, which version we are going to, ZK 17th we are going to use. If you are going to change the ZK 17 to ZK 8, then you have to use the ZK 8. Here we have to part the change the Java version. So see here, group ID, what I told, group ID the package name, then artifact ID, what is the artifact ID, is the your project name. Now this is the version, means user service app version. So right now suddenly we have the snapshot version. So here we can give the demo, that means description. So description we can give anything name. This is user service application. So any name you can give according to your project, right? So now we are going to the project explorer, and here they have added one the main method also. So here we can run this application. So see here, this is the main method. So from the here we can run this application. So see, this is the main annotation we have at a Spring Boot application annotation. Then how this Spring Boot application how this means how the at a Spring Boot application annotation is working, we can discuss in the some another video. So right now we are not going to discuss the at a Spring Boot application. Okay, so annotation. So here, so we can write the system.out.println So see, why this one? So because once this main method completed, that means our application is started, then this will print here. So I'm going to run, right click and run as a Java application. Run and Java application. So see here, we are using the Spring Boot version is the 3.3.4. Okay, and now this is the, see here, now this is asking to allow the access, so we have to allow. Okay, so now see here, our user service application has started, means that means our services application is started with this Tomcat. Started with the port number is the 8080. Okay, and so here by default Tomcat started, that means internally what happened, this Spring Boot application is built and this is deployed in the Tomcat server internally. We are not going to deploy them manually, and they are using the by default port number 8080. But if we want to change the port number, because maybe sometimes some another application also using the same port number 8080, in that case this application will not work. We will get some exception like that. Port number is already in use. In that case you have to change the port number. But where we can change, right? So we can change here application. Here we have the application.properties file in the resource folder. This is the resource folder, have the application properties file. Here whatever configuration if we required related to the Spring Boot application, this all the things we can add here. Suppose if we are going to change the port number, then we can add server.port, and whatever port number we want we can give. Okay, server.port is the key which is defined by the Spring Boot. So these things we cannot change, but this is the value we can change, because this is the properties file. In the properties file we can declare that each and everything as a key value pairs. So key is the predefined, we cannot change, but value we can change. Anything we can give the value. Okay, and again I'm going to run this application. So we have to allow this. So see here, user service application is started. Now we can check the port number, which port number is running. See here, 1001, right? That means 1001. I given the port number. So by default Tomcat use this port number, right? In the application of properties file, this port number they use, means this application is successfully created here. So in the next video we will add we will create service repository, and we are going to integrate with the database server.